Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here, and welcome to the continuing coverage of Shadows of Brimstone. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Like I said, it's going to be a long one. I think maybe like 20 or so parts. I have it kind of mapped out now. But I did want to take a break from looking at some of the game, the components, and talking about it, and just give a really quick kind of broad overview of 5 things I love and 5 things I don't love about Shadows of Brimstone. So let's start with the good. Number one, the genre busting theme. I love how this game mixes in all kinds of different genres, from Western to Weird Western, cosmic horror, science fiction, Weird War II, post-apocalyptic, the Eastern samurai setting. I absolutely love that. I think in today, in like these modern times, people are really too concerned with these little tightly controlled genre boxes, and people like don't like their genres to mix. I often hear that, way back in the day, at the beginnings of Pulp Fiction, of classifying genre fiction, there weren't these like really strict definitions. You would have like Sword and Planet stories where you would have, war veterans getting teleported to otherworldly planets, fighting aliens with magical swords, like the Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff, the Princess of Mars books. People weren't so concerned about only reading a certain kind of genre. A lot of the pulp magazines, they mixed everything together. You had pulp magazines like All Story, which had all different kinds of stories, from adventure tales to action tales to Lost World and horror and science fiction. And same as like Weird Tales. Weird Tales mixed in all kinds of different genres, and people just gobbled it up. And that's what I am into. I like, as in like the Dark Tower, when Roland is talking to his quartet, when Roland is talking to Eddie and Susanna and Jake and Oy, and he tells them in his world, people like their stories to be like stews with all kinds of different flavors. And that's what I like as well. And so for me, Shadows of Brimstone is like a perfect example of that. Number two is the sense of exploration created by all of the non-combat encounters. All of the encounter cards, the decks with all of the different kinds of stat tests and events, those really do add a lot for me. And I often, when I'm reviewing another dungeon crawl, will often lament the fact that those other games don't have these kinds of encounters, like the adventure and misadventure cards in Secrets of the Lost Tomb. For me, it just makes the game feel more like an RPG with all of the stat checks and just the little narrative snippets that add a lot to the theme. Three, I like the way that you can create characters and how they level up. It's very easy how when you create a character, you pick one of 3 starting abilities, you pick a starting personal item, and that is your character. And then as you level up, you get more gear, your stats increase, your HP increases, and you can also pick, a few of the different upgrade paths to follow and gain new abilities. I really like that. Number 4 kind of goes along with number 3, but just all of the gear and loot. I mean, this is Shadows of Brimstone is a loot lover's dream of a game. There are stacks and stacks and stacks of gear, and you have like mundane gear, magical gear, you have alien artifacts, and all kinds of different things all mixed in together. It is always so much fun to draw a new item in Shadows of Brimstone. I also love number 5 is the core loop of going on a random mission, leaving that mission and going back to town. It kind of just, you do have to put some work into it, but it creates this kind of, this really interesting loop where you always have something to look forward to. When you're on a quest, when you're in a mission and you're getting gold and experience, you can look forward to going back to town and spending that. When you're in town and you're buying gear and you're buying blessings and all kinds of different things, then you can look forward to using those new things when you go into a mission. So I love that core loop, and I like how it just kind of creates this organic kind of emergent campaign as you are connecting dots as the players. All right, so 5 things that I'm not too hot on. While the base sets, the core sets, while they do come with a lot of stuff, they can still feel a little incomplete. And some of them, like especially the original 2, some of the heroes and the monsters are very basic. And so that's why I think you need a little bit more than just one core set to really get the most out of Shadows of Brimstone. Now, I have talked to people who are perfectly happy with one of the core sets and maybe a couple small expansions, and that's great. I was just talking for me personally. Number 2, storing and organizing everything can be a big hassle. That's one of the reasons why I work in subsets with this game. I only play with a customized list of things, a customized grouping of things. I don't play with everything all the time because you need like a whole side table just to keep everything out and have access to it. And the game can take up a lot of room on your shelf. So that's kind of a hobby of itself, is storing and organizing Shadows of Brimstone. 3, for a lot of people, this game has way too much dice rolling. And it also does sometimes for me. You are going to be rolling just dozens and dozens of D6s in this game. You will roll a handful of D6s to attack. Then you will roll to defend. Then you will roll your armor attack, your armor defense. I mean, there are a lot of D6 rolls. You are rolling D6 on charts after charts after charts. You're rolling D6 to move. It's just, it is a crazy amount of dice rolling, and it can get a little cumbersome sometimes. So I totally get that. 4, and this is a complaint that I do hear a lot from different people. I guess I kind of share it too. I do. Flying Frog Productions seems to be right now the Shadows of Brimstone studio. It's almost like they have completely forgotten all of the other games. I mean, really also, when is the last time they've created a new game? You know, they haven't released very many expansions for Fortune and Glory. Touch of Evil seems to be there. A couple little new card expansions have come up for that, but you know that game seems to like not get much love anymore. Their zombie game, Last Night on Earth, is that what it's called? I can't remember. I can't even remember if a new expansion for that has even come out. They've been talking about new expansions for Fortune and Glory for a long time now, and I know people are chomping at the bit to get those, but they seem to only be concerned about Shadows of Brimstone right now. That's probably where the money is right now, and they're striking that iron while the iron's hot. So I get it, but it would be nice to see something new from them, or for them to, you know, divvy out some of the love to their other games. And number 5, and this is the last one, is the cost of entry. It can be an expensive game to get into. I get that. Especially if you want to get to that point where you feel like you have a good variety of things. You know, you will be spending a few $100s on this game. And that's because it is a lifestyle game. This is a hobby game. You know, playing Shadows of Brimstone, collecting it, painting it, organizing it, you know, customizing it, printing out materials with fan-made expansions and all of that stuff. This is a game that you could focus your entire gaming hobby on, and you could have a very good time doing that. And so if any of those kinds of games, you know, Kingdom Death Monster or Warhammer, 40K, any of those big hobby games will take a lot of your time and a lot of your money to invest in it to get the most out of it. So, all right, well, that's it. That is 10 things I love and 10 things I don't love about Shadows of Brimstone. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the Frontier Town expansion. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you continue to enjoy this Shadows of Brimstone series, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.